Welcome gamers to the start of a new Let's Play series. We're going to be playing a game called Diplomacy is Not an Option, and this is a really surprisingly good game. It's sort of like a Stronghold killer, if you've ever played the old game Stronghold. Actually, it's not even that old. I mean, they keep on bringing out new versions. I think for me, the pinnacle of Stronghold was Stronghold Crusader, which was, I liked the scale of the game, but it was pretty much, it wasn't 3D. It was essentially, you could rotate it in sort of 90-degree areas. But this reminds me very, very much of Stronghold 2, Stronghold Crusader, that era of the Stronghold games. Then I sort of found that as they then started to get more 3D, they then increased the scale. I found it more awkward to play, to be honest, after that era. For me, Crusader really was the pinnacle, in my humble opinion. And so I'm going to call this one, so Diplomacy is Not an Option, is a Stronghold killer. It basically does essentially what Stronghold did well and expands upon that to a degree. It's also very, very much like a game called They Are Billions, which is sort of like a zombie survival game where you're still built up like a bit of a castle and try to defend your area. I think if you sort of imagined a hybrid between those two. Now, instead of zombies, these guys have got sort of like rogues and peasants, essentially, that sort of that end up building up their forces before they then try to rush your castle. And so you've got a lot of different things that you have to do on the actual map itself. This is going to be an episode 0, so I'll just talk a little bit about that as well. And what that means is, if you are new to the channel, and welcome if you are new to the channel, actually welcome if you're not new to the channel. But, you know, it's sort of one of these things where I do tend to, if I want to talk about a game without actually doing much gameplay, which is what I do want to do with this game, just to show what it's got, because there's a lot to look at, a lot to like about this game. And so by having an episode 0, you then know, okay, there's no gameplay in this one. It will show me all the little ins and outs of what the game actually does have, but it won't give me an idea of what it plays like. If you are not interested in the preamble and sort of like, you know, a fairly in-depth look at the actual what the game has got under the hood, then by all means just skip this episode and go straight through to episode 1, which will then be the start of an actual series. So that will be the structure that we go through. So hopefully that's okay with you all. Now, what else is there? I keep on forgetting to thank my Patreon supporters. Guys, I really can't sort of devote the time without your support, so I very, very much appreciate what you do. It's sort of become more and more difficult on YouTube, like in recent years. It's, you know, to actually sort of make it viable, and so having the supplementary income through places like Patreon or through, you know, donations and things, it certainly does help an awful lot. By the way, there should be a link down the bottom in my description if you are not wanting to go through to Patreon but are happy to sort of make any sort of donation. That's going to be very gratefully accepted, but entirely up to you guys. I don't like putting pressure on people. It just does help a lot to actually have that. It sort of justifies the time that I can then sort of put into making these sorts of series. Anyway, what else is there? I think that's about all the housekeeping that we sort of needed to go through. Yeah, I think so. I think we can just now get into what this game is all about. Now, what you'll sort of see through here is it's all low poly. So everything is like low polygon, which essentially means that it's going to be fairly easy for the game to be animated. It's, for me, it's a perfect scale for this sort of game. I love it. Like it's not too far out where it's abstracted, but it's also not too close in where it's trying to show off all the 3D goodies. It doesn't have 3D goodies as such, but it's certainly very, very functional. Works very, very well. Let's have a quick look at, for example, the options, and I'll just go through now. And actually, maybe we're not. Let's actually have a look and see what the game actually does have. So I've set up a character just, you know, called Daz Tactic, which is the name, of course, of this channel. And so yeah. And by the way, if you do want to subscribe or comment or anything like that, I very much appreciate that. Any engagement with the video does help enormously. So anyway, we'll just get into it. I've played the tutorial. The tutorial is really excellent, I've got to say. It's a tutorial that you can do in, say, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and it does cover all the basics in a very, very succinct way. There's no fluff in the tutorial at all. Like so often these tutorials try to be too clever, and not in this case. The tutorial really just goes through, what you need to do and why it's important, and that's pretty much it. And there's a fair bit for it to get through. I think there's 21 different individual steps or something in the tutorial, but as I say, very, very nicely done. Just stepping through, from the very start, just how to sort of navigate around the world, which is, fairly stock standard, all the way through to what to build, why you're building it, how to sort of set up your armies, etc., etc. If we then got two different modes of playing, a campaign, which was what we'll end up playing, which is back into here, and so we've got this sort of map through this side. I don't know if these are random or not. I don't know if these are algorithms for the map to then be generated based on the locations, and I purposely haven't tried any of these just yet because I want this to be part of what we do with the playthrough, and I'm guessing we'll just do one map as the actual series that we're going to be sort of working ourselves into. Probably end up doing, once we get past this one, I'll probably then continue these over on my Twitch channel as a live stream. So if you do want to join me for any of the games that I do live, then by all means, please just come and join me on Twitch. I do really enjoy the camaraderie, I guess, that we actually have as a collective group, because we're sort of a niche gaming group, and I really like that, to be honest. It's sort of funny because, it's just nice, like in this. I enjoy the banter on Twitch, where it's also live, and I also enjoy, if people do have questions. Like so many of the people that actually come in and sort of watch the streams are much better at the games than I am, and so I find that that's a real value add, both for me and also for the audience. If they ask a question, very often it'll be answered very, very well by somebody else in the chat. So by all means, come and join us on Twitch. That's sort of something I should be pushing that more often as well, because I know a lot of you don't know that I stream on Twitch, but I stream there nearly every day, and so so I always enjoy. I always enjoy sort of the banter, as I say, with our community. Our community is pretty special to me, and I think it is to you guys as well. It's a very welcoming community, and it's really quite nice to sort of be able to communicate on this sort of level with you guys. Anyway, I'm sort of gushing, I guess, with what's going on, but. So this is what we will be playing back into here. We'll start off in this one, and then I think we then end up sort of, it tends up to expanding with different sorts of ways of playing as we sort of develop from there. But we'll have a look at this in the next episode, so we'll sort of kick that one off next time. Just go back out. So that's the campaign mode, which looks very, very interesting. I have just started it up to see what it's actually like. And then we have an endless mode as well. Now, the endless mode is a random map that is then sort of built. You've got 3 different levels. I don't know if they'll add more into this one through here. For example, if I go to Born to Chill, is really just very much a laid back, almost a sandbox sort of style of playing. And I know that there's a lot of you that like these castle builders as castle builders rather than as warrior campaigns. And so you've got that option there as well. And similarly with the different options that you have available. So you can certainly play that one. In fact, let's just start each one of these. That way you can actually have a bit of a look and see what you've got. So the endless mode version designed specifically for players who want to take their sweet time admiring the sights of the cities they've built. Enemies won't pester you too much, and all aspects of survival are kept to a minimum. So an easy run through, essentially. So there still will come. The enemy will still come, so you've just got to stay alive for as long as possible. And so this is what the maps look like. These are randomly generated. So the maps actually do have like a random generation. You've got all sorts of different resources in through here. I might sort of have a bit of a look at one of these. So let's just go to through each one of these so you can sort of see, my lord, we've found a prospering land where resources are plentiful and locals are friendly. At least you can relax, admiring the pastoral views, and in between we can build you a dream city. So this is much more a city builder aspect of the game, but with a random map. And I know, as I say, it's sort of like almost like a more relaxing way of actually playing the game. And I know that a lot of you will actually like or prefer to actually play that way. So you can sort of see through there, there's only one wave will come on day 7, so it's telling you what's going to happen. You'll find out what direction they come, like when they're ready to come through, it'll actually highlight on the map somewhere where they're actually coming. And so you can sort of then go off. You can also then send your army, like I can just grab the army through here, for example, and march them off into the, if we know where a village actually is, they'll then be able to go out and sort of just take on the actual forces that are there. By the way, this is just a marquee select, and then I can right click and then sort of move the armies into whichever direction they need to be. And we just keep on sort of marching them down through the map. You can sort of see that they're now making their way through these little gorges. And eventually we'll find ourselves, maybe not because this is going to be a fairly chillaxed style. Here we go. So we've actually now got some guys, they're just going to fire at these. Here they come again. So you end up essentially having these little battles that sort of then go on. Also reminds me very much, like, I spoke there before about being a stronghold killer, but it also does feel also very much like a, what's the word? What's the game? It's the one where you sort of end up with sort of like all sorts of random forces coming. Now we're going to actually lose in through here. I forget what it's called, actually. I can't remember the name of the game. But anyway, we've now triggered this particular group. We're not going to survive this. So this may or may not have been that particular group. So our swordsmen are now being killed off and through here. They're surrounded by the horde. So the peasant horde. So that's actually what comes and attacks you. The Battle Simulator, the totally awesome Battle Simulator, that was the other game I was sort of thinking of. And so, of course, this is not ideal to do it this way. The idea is really to sort of set up like strongholds, wait for them to come, wait till you build up your forces and then go crazy. Is sort of the way it should be done. But we're sort of getting through them. You know, you can sort of see there we've actually wiped out a lot of them for just the expense of 5 of our swordsmen at this stage. So that's sort of what that's how the game does operate. And killing off these spawn locations as well is really quite important. What have we got there? It looks like sort of crystal souls in through there as well. No idea what these things are. So resource needed for spell casting. There we go. So it just tells you a little bit about what's going on. So we've actually got all of our archers. They're still doing pretty well. Bang! It's the physics in this is great. Actually, I've got to say, I really like it. It's very, very cool game. It's actually, for me, it's the ideal scale for this sort of game. I really like it a lot. So anyway, and then the daylight just sort of suddenly appears and bang, you're back into it again. And if I just grab the force, I can sort of do things like, for example, just go Control 1, and then it'll be basically selected back and through here. We can then sort of start to move a bit further forward. I can just go and pick up these sorts of things as well. And that as well. There we go. We've got a heap more now that have been triggered, or that will be triggered. And these should wipe out our next group as well. So you've got all these, you've just got mountains and mountains of these sorts of guys coming. So they are still on the map if you want to go after them. So it's not completely a sandbox version of the game. Let's just leave that one there and just go back out to the main menu and have a look at the next version down. So that's that was Endless Mode, Born to Chill. Then we have Labyrinth of Pain. We have a look at this one through here. And so this version of the Endless Mode is suitable for those who want to unleash their strategic potential. Enemies will regularly attack at full strength. Generated map has a limited amount of resources. Thanks to many gorges and mountains, you can make the front line narrow to counterbalance the enemy's numerical superiority. So this is very much a strategic defensive mode. You can see there we don't have quite as many in the army. We've only got 4 and 4 rather than 5 and 5. So we have to build up our army. By the way, the forests don't stop units, so you need to still build like a defensive walls and so on and so forth around your castle. It is very much a builder game. It's not so much a what I just did there, which was to wander off and do things. But I can go and grab my units and just move them out into the forest. The forest does not stop units coming through, so just be aware of that. So this is a bit more aggressive, but with more of these cliffs, which we can then sort of make better use of to do other sorts of things. But I love that you've got this random map option. It works out fairly well. Anyway, when we do the real game, actually I might show in this game as well, there's just the different sort of things that you can then do in the game itself. By the way, you'll see there we've got, so wave 1 will come on day 4. The enemy squads will attack that day. That's just telling me how sort of long away it actually is. So if I click this one here, if I click on the north, it'll then just make the map go directly to the north. I love this as well, being able to sort of click on that to sort of show, like if I happen to have this sort of in a weird location, I'm trying to sort of figure out, what's going on, I can just click on the north and it'll just swing back around. So we've got the same thing. There's a lot of little things like that which don't make a massive difference, but they're just little value adds to the user interface, which I really do appreciate. So having a bit of a look at the actual game itself, we've got this wave coming on day 4. Enemy squad will attack that day, so we have to build up before then. If I click on this one, it just is going to show me what the actual quest is, what we have to try to do, and I can then go back down here to then open up or go back into the options essentially. Now, as far as building is concerned, there's a lot to sort of look at with this one, and you'll sort of see a lot of it is just turned off. So you've got your population buildings, which sort of go through from basic houses, which allow you to then to sort of build up your population a bit easier. House 2 back in through there, which this one only requires wood. This one requires wood and stone. You've got the city fountain back over this side as well. So plus 2 people live in each house within radius. You've got your tavern through there as well. So there's all sorts of different things, which we'll go through in the actual game itself. And then the higher level houses back in through this side where we're starting to use different sorts of blocks in through here. So we end up with iron as well. So again, a lot to like about the actual building part of the game. That's really what it's all about. Further in the building, we've then got the food production. So you've got sort of like your berry picker's house, which will be over here, for example. You've got your fisherman's hut for these sorts of areas. You've got farms and also farm 2 back in through this side as well. So just sort of like basic sort of food production, but it does give you sort of more and more what you can then sort of do. That one does require gold as well, so we need to get some gold. There's the soul crystals for spell casting. It's got a lot in it, as I say, that I really do like. Resource production back in through this side, so you've got things, for example, like your lumber mills running down that side. Your forester's cabin to I think that just will grow trees back again, so you can actually have like something where the trees are being replaced. Actually, another game it reminds me very much of is the old Settlers game, which was brilliant back in Settlers 2. I think was the pinnacle of that one. Isn't it funny how version 2 of like Stronghold, Settlers, etc. Version 2 is seems to be sort of like the best, and then it sort of goes a bit downhill after that one. Stone mines, again, we can sort of have them sort of operate from these quarry zones, and these are limited resources, so nothing is sort of like everything will be destroyed over time. Different stone mines in through there, and then we have an iron mine as well, if we can then find iron, which I can't see on the map, but that will be somewhere around. You also have these resources that you can just sort of send your troops across to and tell them to go and collect the wood. So we've got 70 wood at the moment. This will now come back through. I'll go and pick that up, and off she goes. So we just now picked up a heap more wood back up through that side. So anyway, that's the just go back this way as well. It's just really nicely done, the actual game itself. So that's their resource. Then we have resource management as well, so we can sort of do things like granaries, storage areas back in through there as well, markets, workshops. So your market, you need to have a market to open the market up and then sort of do trading if you need to. You've also then got your city development, which is sort of things like your builder's house, your gravedigger's house, your cemetery, hospitals back down this way, and university. So again, a lot of different things in through there. You've got your army buildings, so things like your barracks, a simple obelisk, which unlocks different sorts of spells back in through there, and you also then have your engineers guild back in through that side as well. So you can for producing the catapults. So that's sort of where you end up with your actual army building. It's quite simple the way it does work. You can see there when we get down to the very, very bottom one here, we can get swordsmen, archers, spearmen, healers, crossbowmen, hammer guys, and horsemen as well, so cavalry. So again, that's going to cost a lot to sort of get back down that way. But it's very, very nicely done. This is just different sorts of spells that then become available at that point as well. And then finally we have the actual defence, which I guess is sort of like the things that people will be most familiar with. You've got like just your wooden walls, your wooden towers, your wooden gates, and then your wooden watchtowers as well. So you can hold up just one shooter into there. So that one does give you a spectacular view, so you can sort of see them coming at distance if you need to. Again, it's really quite functional the way it does work. I have played a little bit with the game just to sort of see how it sort of works and how it operates. It is really quite nice. Then you've got your stone walls back and through this side, and then you've sort of got like your larger stone walls through here that then use a bit of iron as well. So it's just very, very functional the way it sort of does work. And of course, then if you sort of then do select your troops, then you've sort of got different ways of sort of working them as well, like move to position, stop, hold. But you can do most of these things just with your mouse button. Attack the nearest target. This one is attack the strongest target, or actually patrol. So if we sort of set up a patrol, I haven't tried this yet, but if we just go back to there, and that should do it, I guess. Actually, do it this way. Maybe it's left click. Yeah, they just go back and forwards between the two areas. All right, so you can just go back and forwards. Again, very much like They Are Billions, to sort of have that sort of control. But I think I like this more so than any of those other games that we've had a look at. Other things we can do with this as well. We actually have the town hall in through here as well can also be leveled up. It also has control over how wide or small, like how big or small the workers' radius is from the actual city itself. If you need to start to protect them, so you can sort of raise or make that one smaller. You can remove workers or all jobs are taken at this stage, so you can sort of manipulate your workers in through there as well. Pause work if you need to sort of stop all the work that's going on for other reasons. You've got sort of repair, so auto repair is on, which is also here. So you can actually sort of turn the repairs on there automatically, and then you can upgrade. So to upgrade this to a Town Hall version 2 will then require 150 wood and 100 stone. So we need to sort of get a quarry built and also some lumberjacks out there as well. Just go back out this way. That's the build. So auto repair is just a toggle button to sort of have different things in through that side. You've also got your research. So you've got like a research screen through this side. So we start off with Town Hall 1. So we need to build certain things before we can do stuff. So stained wood. It's going to cost me 140 wood to get this one. So stained wood technology increases the durability of all the wooden defensive buildings. So they have plus 30% durability. These all cost resources. This one here, advanced toolkits. So the builder has plus 10% building, but it's quite a nice progression as you can sort of see as you go through. I like the way they've done this, where they've got this sort of like this massive dragon with like a big tree that comes out of its head and sort of then moves across. So as you then get the barracks, you then open up other things coming out through the side as well. To unlock research, build barracks 1, back over here, currently no research. Yep, so we're not researching anything. It's just really nicely done. It's a beautiful looking game. I'm gushing over it, but I really, really like what it does. Can you tell? Open all gates, close all gates, for when the attacks are coming. And you do know when they're coming. Here we go. They've got an attack coming from this direction, so it's sort of showing where they're going to come. Now, we haven't built anything up, so we're going to be in trouble here. They'll just come and swarm us at that particular point in time. You've got your open markets, which we need to build a market to do any sort of trading, and then also the employment statistics just sort of show how many people are employed, all the workers, how many are unemployed, in training, etc., etc. We've got 2 builders, which sort of why we've got the 2 builders that we have there are designated down through here. So that's all we actually have is just 2 builders. Everyone else is just milling around, doing nothing, waiting for this invasion to come. Now, I can speed things up until the invasion comes, so we'll just do that. Just watch as they get there, I guess. Here they come. Actually, still a little way to go. Probably the next morning, I would guess. But the user interface, as I say, is very, very nice. The way it sort of is done. Like you can see there, F1 just to go back to normal speed. Spaces just to pause it, which I like.
Some people have resorted to eating rats.
Here they come.
Perhaps we should gather more real food.
Yeah, famine in the settlement, so we've now run out of food. Now they're starting the attack. Wave 2 will come on day 7. So we do actually have a force that's going to be coming this way. Let's just speed it up until we start to see them. They should be here any second. Here they come. You can see down the bottom here where they're going to start coming, which we should see any second now. But anyway, we'll just watch what actually happens. So we've got the councillor. You may have noticed that we are short of food. The councillor's good. So here comes the group. Damn peasants. So friendly fire isn't really a thing. Oh, there we go. Love that. The catapult doesn't impact our guys at all. Nice, nice. So the catapults are quite important, as you can see. They've now wiped out our forces, and in they come. Take the catapult on.
Our people are under attack.
Peasants are wandering around, getting slaughtered by these peasants. and it'll now start to work on the actual castle itself. It'll take a long time for it to bring that one down, but anyway, you get the gist of it. That is the way that an invasion would then sort of work. Let's get back out. I've spent a lot of time just farting about with that, really, to be honest. So we'll just go to options now and have a bit of a look at the options menu. So you can sort of see through here, there's a few different ways of, like, it's got things like diplomacy is, you can either have it's not an option, or off, or no. Which is all the same thing. I haven't tested to see if there's any nuance in there at all, but I think that's a joke. Because the game is diplomacy is not an option. You basically are attacking these waves of peasants as they come through to you. This game is sort of early access at this stage as well, so I'm interested to sort of see what sort of nuance will come with the game after this version of it sort of is out there. It's as I say, I'm really impressed with it. I'm really impressed with what it does. I guess that the difference between games like Stronghold and this one is that you do end up with at least diplomacy, I guess, to a certain degree. I mean, this does say diplomacy is not an option, but that would be interesting to sort of see if the forces could be controlled. And you also then get nuances within the different forces. That's probably the one thing that'd be great to see that in a future version of the game. But as I say, I'm very impressed with what I've seen so far. Video settings, save changes, you'll just click on OK. You see there you've got sort of graphics quality, ultra, etc., shadowing and so on and so forth. It looks very, very functional, but it is only low poly, so that's why you can get away with a lot with low poly game like this. So it sort of it does allow the game to perform very, very strongly. Sound in through here, I have turned the music right down simply because I'm not sure if that's what the license is for the music. So I thought I'd better just sort of play without music for this particular run through. The controls are good as well. So you sort of see when I go back through, it then opens up a whole lot of other things. This is the general controls with like your quick save, quick load, your rotations, your WASDs, how to sort of use the basic stuff. The grid I'm not sure about yet. I haven't played with this at all. So you've got like different keyboard shortcuts for the actual grid, but again, I'm not sure exactly what this does yet, so that will be, I guess, something we'll discover. The main panel to open the market. I don't know if I'd bother using this one. I do find the user interface just so clean anyway. Like, it's just easy to click on what you need. You can always just pause and do things at your leisure, which I love. I love that it's pausable, I've got to say that. It's sort of, I was worried when I first started playing because I couldn't sort of see, when I actually looked at the description, I thought that all the maps were scripted, but I don't think that they are. I think, well, you can certainly see there in the sandbox type versions of the game, they're not scripted at all, which is great. Actually, we didn't look at the last one, did we? Anyway, advanced controls down through here, where you can sort of do your group selections and so on and so forth, which is nice. Create group modifier is control, add to group is shift, and remove from group is control shift. So it's just sort of pick different units from the different groups themselves, which is, again, going to be quite functional. We'll just go back in, and if we just go back to the main menu and just go back to endless mode, we didn't have a look at the very last one, the Feat of Resistance. Have a look at that as well, just to finish this episode off. The endless mode version for the most desperate fans of the survival genre. No indulgence, enemies will run rampant, the slightest mistake is guaranteed to have fatal consequences. So this is the super hard mode, I guess, of what's actually going to be coming when are they arriving on day 4. So we still have a bit of time to sort of set things up, but not a hell of a lot. The councillor's just sort of giving us instructions there as to what can then go on. Oh, by the way, I haven't shown the spell casting, so summons. Initially, we can only do summons, but then eventually we can get like astral rays. So that strikes everything underneath it. We've got mass healing as well for our troops, and we also then have meteor. So these are the sorts of things where we need to then make use of the soul crystals to make use of these ones. But summons just uses 2. We get 5 dark knights, so I can actually go, okay, look, let's throw in some of these guys. But then they've got a cooldown, and then they disappear. So we'll just go and just get rid of those. And so these are the Dark Knights. Damage with a cold weapon. These guys have also then got the damage in through there as well. Looks to be very, very similar. Attack speed is only half. So these are essentially summoned creatures. Anyway, I think what we'll do is we'll call it quits for this particular run through, and then what we'll do is we'll then go and start a campaign and sort of run an actual a series with the actual campaign itself. But as I say, I'm really impressed with the game. Really, really impressed with it, to be honest. Just and as I say, the tutorial was brilliant. It's the For me, it's if you do like the old Stronghold games, then I think you'll enjoy this game. If you like They Are Billions as well, you probably like this one as well. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you next time.